Thank you guys for all being here. We got a lot of turning point high school and college staff here today across the country that are taking some time out of their service days to help us today. So I want to shout at you guys for being here. Thank you guys. Couldn't have done it without you guys being here. Very excited. Almost done with all these programs. We've got a really, really good crowd. Let's just make sure everybody's signed up and involved with the chapter. Looking for people who disagree. We've got a couple people lined up already. This is great. Let's just continue to find more people.
Last time they even had some drills and stuff. Yeah, I know. I'm doing my job. That'd be fun. It would be hilarious. It'd be fun. Sit on it. He's just been like falling off. Just keep coming on. You're at 1:30. He's just been in a.
Evan, over here! Over here. Yes, I want Let me get one, Charlie! Charlie! Hey, drop it, Charlie. Right here, Charlie.
Who needs that show? Yo, can we put him in here?
How we doing, everybody? All right, most importantly, who's voted already? Raise your hand. All right. Who hasn't voted? Raise your hand. Oh, no. You got to go walk over to that building once we're done, guys, and get it done so we make Trump the next president and win Arizona, everybody. Okay, so we got like 5 events today. We're going to do 1 hour, okay, everybody? So we got to be quick. We got to go through it. So we have 1 hour, all right? Who's going to time me? You're going to be in charge of my time? Timekeeper, all right? 1 hour. All right, let's get started, guys. Disagreements welcome. And you guys probably don't get a lot of visitors at this school, right? So honored to be here. Thanks, guys. All right.
Yes.
Yes.
Do us like that.
He's
He's
the
right though.
microphone's on. So I know that in a previous reel you might have an answer for you on that.
So what is a woman?
So basically it's somebody that is biologically female or identifies with the female persona.
Okay, so that's interesting. Tell me what a female persona is.
A female persona is somebody that's not biologically female, meaning that they don't have X and X chromosomes, and the same thing vice versa with a man if you don't have X and Y chromosomes. So basically you can hormonally transition to being a woman. That doesn't necessarily change you on a genetic level at all, or an anatomic level or a genetic mutation or anything, but taking hormones and doing top and bottom surgery can physically change. You can change your phenotype to be a woman or to be a man. And so that's why the female persona is separate from being biologically female, because no matter what you do, you cannot change your DNA or mutate it.
For sure. So at what point do you become a female persona? When is that achieved or accomplished?
So basically, so the female persona. So basically, the female.
Be kind, guys. It's fine.
So the female persona is not necessarily defined as having a feminine or masculine appearance. So for example, I'm wearing a baseball cap, I'm wearing pants, I'm wearing a hoodie. Technically, I'm dressed as more masculine. Does that make me a man? No. But so it's not necessarily having a feminine presentation, but how you choose to identify yourself and how you look, but in a permanent sense.
For sure. No, I get that. So, but the burden of proof is on you. You have to tell me when that is achieved. At what point is like female persona?
It's achieved once you fully transition over and you mimic the same reproductive organs.
Got it. So what does that mean, fully transition over? Does that mean hormones, hormone, top and bottom, vaginoplasty, all of that?
Yeah, all of that.
Got it. So if a trans person hasn't had that done, then they can't say that they're female.
So female is from a biological perspective, but woman is from a phenotype perspective. It necessarily make you a woman because you still have a beard. You're still, again, masculine presenting doesn't necessarily mean that makes you a man, but being masculine presenting can give attributes to something. So in this case, even though if you present feminine attributes, that doesn't make you a woman, but putting on a wig or something doesn't necessarily make you a woman. However, if you are in the position where you're transitioning into something that's more feminine or trying to follow the ideal of trying to mimic being biological female, that would make you a woman. So
no, you said it. You actually said it, mimic. You're right. You can mimic something, but you don't become the thing, right?
But being a woman is subjective to a personal perspective.
That's where we disagree. Being a woman is an objective thing, actually. I can never become a woman, right?
If you do hormonal placement therapy,
my chromosomes will still be what?
But that's the biological
it's the same
section
thing.
of it.
See, because you believe a litany of propaganda that believes that womanhood is just some socially constructed thing, which is a bunch of BS. That male and female are natural biological realities, right? And it is inherent in our nature. And again, you're right. You can mimic something. As a man, I could wear a wig and I could pretend I'm a woman. That doesn't make you a woman. No different than can a white person become a black person?
Well, actually, when you go up and you look at somebody, can you tell whether somebody's transgender or not? Or do you look at somebody and you say, you look like a woman, you look like a man?
No, that's a separate issue. Can you disguise and trick people? Of course. But tricking is not the essence of the thing. Just because you can fool somebody doesn't mean you become the thing. For example, if a 17-year-old can trick somebody into believing that they could get a beer and they're 21, are they 21?
Well, age is a different factor
No,
versus
age is
phenotype
objective.
presentation.
No, hold on. Age is objective and chromosomes are objective, right?
Correct, but that's why the second part of the definition is identifying yourself with the female
No, for
persona.
sure. I'm saying that is a new 1960s on belief from Judith Butler and John Money. Presentation means nothing in objective reality. Do is just live in reality, not in somebody's own, fiction in their head, which is that you don't get to determine your own reality based on your feelings or your, the struggles in your head. And most importantly, if you want to go wear a dress, knock yourself out. The problem with the trans issue is, number one, you're forcing us to accept your reality, not you, but the reality that is obviously materially not true. And then number two is that it then puts women in circumstances where they have to be around biological men in sports, locker rooms, and private settings that put their safety and their privacy at risk. Number three is then kids, of course, then have to be taught this garbage, right? So again, you can believe whatever you want to believe in the privacy of your home. You can think that you're a witch or you're a wizard or you're a man or you're a woman or a lion or a giraffe, doesn't matter. That doesn't impact me. But this conversation has real life implications on speech, on standards, and how we treat each other.
But I'm not talking about trans people in sports. I'm not talking about the effect it has on kids. I'm talking about the subjective definition of what a woman is. So that would be...
I know, we just don't agree. I say it is objective, not subjective, right? So you don't get to choose to be a parrot. You're a human being. You don't get to choose to be a man if you're a woman, or vice versa. Your chromosomes don't change no matter how much you mutilate your body.
Can I ask one last question? So if somebody has the exact same reproductive organs as a woman, if somebody has the exact same hormonal levels of a woman, then would they be a woman regardless of whether they were born with X and X or XY chromosomes? Because there are people that are hermaphrodite or intersex, and they are mutated at first to...
Reptiles that can, like Komodo dragons, but there's never been a mammal where you have both sex organs and you can impregnate yourself. So you're either it's bimodal. You're either masculine modality or a female modality, right?
So you're saying essentially that if somebody is biologically female, then if they can't have kids, they are not considered a woman. If somebody's biologically male, then they cannot have kids.
If a woman in this audience is infertile, that doesn't make her less of a woman. So just being the capacity to have children is not the only thing. When we dive deeper into science, again, you have to be not you, but the whole trans thing. We can give you a chemical balance, a bunch of pills, and you become the thing that you actually aren't. I think it's incredibly dangerous and super prideful if we think that all of a sudden we can reconfigure God's perfect design and you could become something that you aren't. And it's creating a lot of tragedy, to be perfectly honest. Yes, but to answer your question, you could trick to be something that you are not, but it doesn't make the thing that you aren't. You're trying to deceive others to believe something that is not true. And that's the essence of what is true.
It's course then.
Well, not as course, but we should observe and respect nature. So for example, like there are certain laws of nature that do not change, right? Like the law of supply and demand and the law of inflation, or the law of germ theory or germ disease. I mean, there are things in nature that we should understand, we should respect and appreciate. And right now we've declared war on a very simple law that men and women are basically the same. We've said that since the 1970s, which is completely patently insane, right? That men and women they're different sexually, they're different biologically, they're different instinctively, they're different in needs, wants, interests, desires. I think that God made them unique and distinct. I think those differences and those distinctions are beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. It was great talking with you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, who's up? Disagreements are welcome if there are any. Yeah, thank you.
I'll make this quick because I have class. My question is, how do you believe feminism should be defined, and do you think it can be reconciled with conservatism?
Well, so yes and no. It depends. There's first, second, and third wave feminism. First wave feminism is that women should have a right to vote. Second wave feminism had a lot of problems, which is the female liberation movement, that women should not just be at home, but they should get into the workforce. Third wave feminism is complete garbage, which is toxic modern day feminism, which is irreconcilable with any decent society, which is far more about hating men than actually respecting women. And you guys all know the type of that kind of feminism. There are some good aspects of second wave feminism, but at the core of feminism, we have to ask the question is, has it made American women happier? And it hasn't, actually. American women are more suicidal, more depressed, more anxious than they were prior. And I believe, and again, we get in trouble for saying this, is that you should have the agency and liberty to do whatever you want. But many women, majority, like 90+% deep down, have this urge to reproduce and to raise children. And we are telling them to forsake that and go become a CEO of a shoe company. And we're wondering why so many young ladies are miserable and angry, because they're at war with something within them that they actually want to do, which is to have a relationship, have children, and nurture future humans into this world.
I would like to propose an alternative perspective. I'm conservative, but I'm also a feminist, and I think that a better way to propose feminism in the public media would be not to eliminate having children and tell women that they shouldn't have children, but to figure out your career first before you decide to settle down, because you can't really undo that once you have kids.
So I think it's the exact opposite. I think you should have kids first, then do your career, because which one has a timetable on it?
True, but once you have kids, you're committed to that, and you can't really have as much of a career, so you should kind of define your I guess what I'm trying to say.
Kids are way more important than being I love that.
What I gotta say is I really hate this allegiance to Israel that he's got, okay? Hurricane Helene victims got $750 for all their livelihood being washed away. And the amount of military aid that we've given to Israel over the past 6 months has been $2,200 per every single person in Israel. And not only has that been the case, but we're also witnessing a genocide in Gaza. There's 40,000 people dead, I think, by the last estimates. So I guess how can you reconcile this American first idea with Donald Trump's, very heavy support of Israel and honestly the blind allegiance that we have to it? We're about to be pulled into a regional war with Iran because of our blind support for Israel.
Yeah, I'll agree with 2 out of 3 of those things. This side I think is a little extreme, but we don't have to spend time on that. I think you make a great point, which is, I love Israel, but I love America more because I'm America first guy. And I think you make a great point, which is that American citizens are suffering and we shouldn't send money abroad while our own citizens can't afford mortgage payments and their houses are destroyed in hurricanes. I think that's a really good point. And thank you for voting for Trump despite your objections. Thank you. Yeah.
How you doing, Charlie? I'm an international student from Norway, and I flew here just because I knew you were here, man. Understand?
Did you really?
Yeah, I go to this college, but hey, I flew all the way. I got to meet you, man.
So it wasn't just for me, but yeah.
I don't disagree with you on anything. And if an international student agrees with you, I think you're right on like a huge level, right? You're doing so many things right. When I was outside of the country, remember you have fans in Norway? Remember that, right? But yeah. Back home, we keep looking at America and we keep being like, oh, damn, we got all these transgender people. They're like making problems, like all that stuff. And you keep making a point after point after point on these debates that I really like to watch, but I'm going to keep it short. And also another thing is that I love your work. Like, I love the way that you...
Life begins at conception, and the church will never be deemed non-essential again. That we will never allow the church to be locked down under a COVID mandatory emergency order while strip clubs, weed dispensaries, liquor stores, and Home Depot are deemed essential, and the church is deemed non-essential. And so keep on speaking out, because there's this misunderstanding where people say, well, the church and politics should be separate. No, we as Christians should want to get into politics to influence the world for his purposes, right? We should care. The Bible applies to all parts of life. And so I ask Christians, well, what is Jesus not in charge of in your life? Is he in charge of your marriage? Oh, yeah. Is Jesus in charge of your finances? Yeah. Is he in charge of your political decisions? Nah. Why? That's weird. Why is that the one thing that we say Jesus should not be in charge of? No, we believe in a comprehensive, not a condensed view of Jesus's jurisdiction over our life here in America. Thank you very much.
Can I get a signed hat?
Yes.
About the black community receiving reparations.
I'm against that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, why so?
Well, first of all, what is the black community? So, for example, do you mean like recent immigrants from Haiti or Nigeria?
I do not. No.
Okay, for sure. So you're meaning like ancestral descendants of slaves.
Correct.
That
Yes,
could
sir.
be proven with documentation.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. So to be consistent, do you believe that other groups that have been mistreated in America should also receive reparations?
What are those other groups?
Well, they're not necessarily by America, but let's just take one. Jewish Americans, right?
Okay.
They almost got eliminated in the Holocaust. Should they receive reparations?
Not from us.
Okay, not from us.
Not
but-
from the United States, that is.
Okay. So here's my view, and I want to hear yours,
Okay.
which is that I did not own slaves, and you were not a slave.
Correct.
Right. So we are individuals, and therefore we cannot be held accountable or should receive something from something that didn't happen to us or something we did not do. That is a basic law of justice.
Into a few Trump rallies. I think the tide's turning. I think a lot of students, a lot of minorities are looking to see how bad, myself included.
We're living through the highest inflation ever, and they say Trump will. Sorry to cut you off, but yeah.
So, right, and I know that he extended many of the tariffs, Biden extended many of the tariffs, and he also increased some of them, right? So what is specifically, from a numerical standpoint, are they arguing when they say that he's going to have the highest inflation
It's a great
ever?
question. What they're assuming is that Donald Trump will slap all these tariffs on these companies with no warning, and then all the price of your goods will go up 10% overnight. Here's how it really works. Let's just take, and we've done this in the past, let's take a company like Toyota. So Toyota is a Japanese car manufacturer, right? And Lyndon Baines Johnson back in the 1960s said, we're going to do a 25% tariff on all pickup trucks. Now, how do you avoid a tariff? It's not a trick question. You avoid a tariff by making the product in America.
Bring up, and I think it's very important, is how affected the black community is in terms of how this election goes. So what would be the best option for the black voter in terms of this upcoming election?
It's a great question. Now, I'm the whitest guy you'll ever meet, so I'll do the best job I can from a strictly policy standpoint. Is that fair?
Do what you can. Do what you can.
I'll do what I can. Right. But that doesn't mean I can't talk on the issue. I just want to be clear. Number one,
you have my permission.
Number one, and this was mentioned earlier, illegal immigration. We have an obligation to our fellow man and our fellow citizen. especially Black America. Generation in modern American history. Donald Trump will bring it back. He did it the first time, and he'll do it again.
I'll take your word for it. Thank you very much.
You gonna vote for Trump?
I'll plan on it.
All right, good. You want a hat?
See what happens.
All right.
I'm good.
All right, okay, he's good. He's at least a vote for Trump, so all right. All right, any disagreements or questions here, guys?
I have a question regarding social health care. And
That is crappier than the one they lived in. Never happened in American history. This generation is the most depressed, suicidal, anxious, drug addicted, lowest homeownership, poorest, most overweight, directionless. No, I mean, again, this is true. And this generation looks at the conservative movement, which Trump is right now the tip of the spear of, as a lifeline. Talking about things that work, not talking about that men can give birth or any of this nonsense or this woke garbage. And also, this generation around you has something very unique. And I called this 4 years ago. I prayed it was true. I said, Lord, please use the overreach and the abuse of COVID as a memory for this generation so that 4 years later, they'll remember how they were abused and will open their eyes to the power center to try to get back to normalcy and a good American life. Almost everyone in this audience here had their prom canceled because of COVID. Had their graduation ceremonies canceled. Probably lost a friend to suicide because of all the lockdowns. Had a friend drug overdose unnecessarily. Saw people just disappear that were totally functional and were great, and all of a sudden the lockdowns ruined their life. How many of you guys know those? Everyone does. And they are looking for a country that they can believe in, that they can live in. So I'm not going to take credit for it. These are forces greater than us. We just happen to be at the right place at the right time.
thank you.
God bless you. Great
Can I
question.
ask you about taxes versus tariffs?
Let's get to the next question. Thank you.
On that one?
That makes a man go crazy.
Next question.
Is really, do you ever worry or have the concerns of whatever you do could also be brainwashing other people?
Well, let's play that out. In order to brainwash, by definition, you don't allow disagreement.
Right. That's fair. That's fair.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't allow freedom of speech or inquiry. You see, I believe we're opening people's eyes. We're trying to nuance our arguments.
For sure.
Because when you're brainwashing, you don't have an open mic saying if you disagree, go to the front of the line.
100%.
With that, I believe that you should not have an abortion unless the mother is going to die. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I get this question everywhere. Of course, I believe every life matters, even in the most horrific cases. I'm happy to explain deeper if people want, but a life is a life. I mean, I'll just give you two quick examples. If I have two ultrasounds here, one is a baby that was conceived in rape, another one is a baby that was conceived in a loving relationship. Which one is which?
Same baby.
You can't tell. Somebody in this audience was conceived in rape. Who is it?
Can't tell.
You know, 1 in 200 people were conceived in rape in America. The point is that your human rights don't stop just because of how horrific or how lovely your method of conception was. And so it's a difficult topic. I'm in the minority. Some people think murder is permissible, okay, after an act of evil. I do not think that's okay.
Exactly. I agree totally. Abortion is murder.
It is.
Can I get a signed hat?
Yes, you can. Thank you.
Sir.
Yes, we have 15 minutes, right?
Just be a homemaker and marry him.
Give it. I love that. We need more of that.
How do I communicate that to my family, and why is that not so widespread anymore?
Implied in your question is that your family would have a difficulty with that?
With me dropping out of college, yes. If I were to...
I have to say, how sick that you want to have children and your family would have trouble with that. Like, oh, we're gonna have grandkids. No, freeze your eggs and go become a store clerk at CVS or something. I don't know, what is the argument here? Look, you should. I'm guessing you're a Christian. Yeah.
I am, yes.
You should honor your parents. Yes, always. I have a whole teaching on that if you guys want. I've done multiple hours on the 10 Commandments on that particular commandment. But you never does the Bible tell you to follow your parents if it's not in alignment with God's commands. Honoring your mother and father is a bridge commandment to honoring your heavenly Father. And I just think you have to just say this so strict, just honestly, so directly, which is I'm going to marry someone I love, and I'm going to get you grandkids, and I hope you visit them. Your heart will soften, and here's the thing. You can always go back to college. Definitionally, you cannot always go back to have kids. And you can prove me wrong on that. You cannot always go back and have kids of your own. And you might say, what do you mean?
She's looking at me really hard.
Yeah, I'm just saying. And get married before you have kids, okay?
Yes,
okay.
of course.
And get married in a good church and go through premarital counseling. I'm a big believer in premarital counseling. It's very important. Which is that in a loving relationship, loving relationship, having children is the most beautiful thing. And like, okay, so you might make a little less money. So what? Do you know what it finds out over a period of time that loving relationship couples actually earn more, save more, are happier? And you find these people called dinks. Do you know what a dink is? Yeah, it's a dual income and no kids. Again, if that's what you want for your life, go do that. I'm not going to judge you, but I will say you're missing out.
No.
You are deeply missing out on the satisfaction of being able to see what I believe is a blessing. The scriptures tell us children are a blessing from the Lord. It does not say that trips to Tahiti are a blessing from the Lord, or that like a nice lunch at Culinary Dropout is a gift from the Lord, or sleeping in is a gift from the Lord, right? All those, by the way, you have kids, you're not going to sleep in as much, okay? You're going to miss out on like going to New York for a weekend. Okay, whatever. But you're going to have kids, and that's way better than, posting on Instagram your miserable life to try to make yourself feel better.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you.
Could you sign my hat?
Yes, we'll do one or two more. Spend it how you want. I think that's a way better way of doing things than going through some Washington D.C. clearinghouse. So, because I think if the federal government were to give us a blank check to Arizona for education, I think our leaders locally would do a better job of spending it than distant bureaucrats. So that's really Donald Trump's belief. It's not like anti-education; it's more local control. Because I think Arizona has done a better job of us educating our kids with campuses like this and school choice and ESAs than anything the federal Department of Education has ever done. Voted, or someone in the middle, and make your plea and your pitch. This election is bigger than anything else. I didn't even get into World War III, guys. We are on the verge of World War III that you guys might be drafted into. What's happening on the border, home ownership, the economy. This campus right here, guys, if you go run up the score here at this voting center, it could change the future of America. The election in Arizona was determined by 10,000 votes last time. And so who hasn't voted? Raise your hand. Go walk over to that building afterwards. If you have voted, find a friend, find two. By the way, you know how cool it would be? Post pictures from this event on social media. Text your friends, hey, have you voted? Find 10 friends, be like, hey, have you voted? Have you voted? Have you voted? Have you voted? And if they're libs, like, okay, ignore them. But like, if they're moderates though, and people in the middle, use some of the things you guys heard here and be like, hey, what questions can I